I didn't hate my life. I just hated myself. And I'm going to say things here in this video that most people wouldn't ever admit out loud, especially on the internet. But I just like providing value. Not because these things are shocking, but because they're exposing. And this isn't some kind of redemption story wrapped in inspiration. This is just the truth of how it actually feels when you're stuck in a cycle of addiction, crime, self-loathing and quiet shame, and how that internal war doesn't just disappear when you finally sort your life out. Because I didn't wake up one day motivated. I didn't have any magical breakthrough moment. I didn't suddenly wake up one morning and love myself, because for a long time I actually despised myself. Not in some dramatic way, but in a silent kind of way that grinds you down bit by bit. The kind where you wake up every day already half disappointed in yourself before anything's even happened. And that's a sad thing to say, to be fair, because I didn't hate my life. I just hated who I was inside my life. I hated that I was intelligent enough to know that I was wasting myself and my potential. I hated that I knew better and I was still doing all the wrong things. I hated that I couldn't see my potential properly, and that's why I was having to escape from myself at every chance possible with distractions and substances. And that's the part that most people don't talk about. Addiction isn't always about knowing better. Sometimes it's knowing exactly how much better you could be, should be, but still wanting to shut that voice up inside here, because drugs weren't the problem. They were the solution that I was using to silence the self-hatred. Crime wasn't about the money. It was about the adrenaline identity and numbing the fact that I didn't respect myself. So I was committing crimes any shape or forms. I didn't feel powerful. I felt empty. But emptiness is unbearable when you're self-aware. So then you fill it with something else. Anything else. It can be chaos, risk, substances, drugs, alcohol, drama, noise. And from the outside in, people might have thought that I was reckless or confident or fearless. But inside, I was just running from myself. Every high that was followed by the same crash, not just chemically, but morally. Because when you look in the mirror and don't recognise the man looking back at yourself, or even worse, you do recognise him, but you realise you don't like him anymore. That's a horrible feeling. Here's the part that I almost never hear anybody say with any true level of honesty. Self-hatred doesn't come from being a bad person. It comes from betraying yourself repeatedly, over and over and again. From knowing your own values and still violating them over and over. Because I wasn't stupid, I wasn't unaware, I wasn't clueless, I was uncontained. Left alone with my own impulses, I chose short-term relief over long-term respect. And every time I did that, I lost that little bit more trust in myself. And that's exactly how self-hatred grows inside your heart, inside your chest, inside your head. Not overnight, but brick by brick. Because people talk about addiction like it's the enemy, but it's really not. The only enemy is the relationship that you have with yourself underneath it all. Because if you hate yourself, you'll always find a way to have to escape from yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, you'll sabotage anything that good that even comes your way in the first place. And that's the part that nobody ever prepares you for. Even when you stop the behaviour, the identity doesn't just automatically change, because you can get clean, get sober, and still hate yourself, and you haven't got anything else to distract yourself from it anymore, so it gets even louder. You can leave crime, the life of crime, and still feel hollow. You can completely turn your life around and still feel like a fraud and like an imposter, because the behaviour was never the root. The root was the lack of self-respect. And self-respect is not something that you just think your way into, because I didn't just wake up one day and decide to love myself and everything was going to be sunshine and rainbows from that point on. That would have just been bullshit. I didn't deserve self-love at that point because I was acting in a way that wasn't self-loving. That's another uncomfortable truth. People tell you to just love yourself, like it's some kind of switch that you just flip. But when you've lived in ways that you were ashamed of, those words mean nothing. Affirmations just bounce off. Motivation feels fake, because what I needed wasn't self-love. I needed some kind of evidence that I could trust myself again, that I was worthy of having a better life. And evidence only comes from behaviour. Small, boring, unsexy, relentless behaviour. I started doing things that I didn't feel like doing, not to become disciplined, but to stop lying to myself, training when I didn't want to, doing subconscious programming when it didn't feel like it was working, showing up when it would have been just easier just to disappear or kill myself, keeping promises even when nobody was watching or clapping. And at first, it felt pointless because there was no confidence boost, no pride, no transformation montage, just discomfort. But something strange started to happen because I stopped hating myself quite as much. Not because I felt good or because I was magical, but because I was acting with integrity, even when it was hard. And integrity heals things that motivation never can. And the self-hatred didn't just disappear, but it got weaker, and my self-love started to grow because it feeds on broken promises. And every time you follow through, it loses power and your self-respect grows slowly, quietly. And that's the truth that no one sells, because it's not sexy, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, it's not a 6-week transformation. Self-love is not just a mindset, it's a byproduct, and it comes after discipline, not before it. I didn't become confident and then change my life. I started to change my behaviours bit by bit, and my confidence followed reluctantly. I didn't forgive myself all at once. I earned forgiveness one day at a time. And here's another thing that people don't like admitting. Even now, years later, I don't romanticise my past. I don't ever think that I quote unquote made me, because I almost destroyed me. Every aspect of my life, burnt bridges that I still haven't built back now. And it took time that I'll never get back. It hurt people that didn't deserve hurting, and it created consequences that I still live with to this day. Criminal records, still recovering from debt. Growth doesn't cover that responsibility. A real self-love doesn't involve pretending the past didn't happen. It involves owning it without ever being owned by it. Because I don't hate myself anymore. But not because I just tell myself that I'm great and I'm amazing. I love my life because I live in a way that I respect and that lets me respect myself, because my days are structured, because I don't negotiate with myself, because I show up even when it's boring, especially when it's boring, because I don't need chaos to feel alive anymore. And peace used to scare me. Silence felt completely unbearable, but now it actually feels like freedom. And I'm telling you this because I know there are men watching this who recognise parts of this in themselves. Hopefully you recognise it in yourself too. Not the drugs, not the alcohol, not necessarily the crime, but the self-betrayal, the shame, the quiet disappointment, that feeling that you're living beneath your own standard. Because you don't have to be an addict to hate yourself. You just have to keep lying to yourself over and over and over again. Keep saying you'll make changes and never making them. Saying you'll start next week. You just have to keep avoiding the work that you should and you could be doing. You just have to keep numbing instead of actually confronting these problems head on. And if you're honest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't need motivation. You need some fucking structure. And structure saved me. It wasn't positivity, it wasn't affirmations, it wasn't hype. It was structure, clear non-negotiables, daily actions, and a system that removed my ability to drift. That's why I built the Become Unfuckwithable blueprint, not as inspiration, but as containment. And the blueprint is a system that I wish I had when I was trying to claw my way out of self-hatred and self-sabotage. The link's in the description. Click it and go download it. It's free. You've got no excuses. It's how you rebuild self-trust when the words don't work anymore. And it's free because information was never the thing that was holding me back. Consistency and a clear system was. And if you're watching this thinking I resonate, but I know that I'll slip if I'm left to my own devices, then you already know what comes next. Some men need pressure. I was one of those people. That's exactly why I've created the Power Hour Breakthrough Call in the first place. It's not a pep talk, it's a real conversation where we strip away the stories, look at the patterns, and install structure that doesn't rely on motivation. Because motivation didn't save me, it never could. Discipline did, daily actions did, integrity did, consistency, follow through did. And slowly, without me even noticing, self-hatred gradually turned into self-respect, and self-respect turned into a life that I actually enjoy living, I actually love living. Not a perfect life, not by a long stretch of the imagination, but a real one. So if you're still here watching this video, it isn't a coincidence. The algorithm blessed you with this video today. Click the link in the description and download the blueprint. Read it slowly and apply it, even if it feels uncomfortable. And if you need someone to hold the mirror up to you properly and go deep, book yourself a Power Hour Breakthrough Call with me, because you don't need to become somebody else. You just need to stop betraying yourself, That's where everything changes. So I'll see you in the next video, but don't bother clicking on the next video if you're not going to download the free system that's there, that's proven to change lives. It's changed my own life and so many of my clients' lives. If you need proof of that, click on my website, look at the testimonials. The client wins. Men that are just like you, just like me, who came before you and have changed their lives. And life will never be the same for them. So I'll see you in the next video. Let's fucking go.